the shine off the rest of the season?
Maybe a little bit. I think we definitely had a lot of high hopes going into the playoffs, and I don't think we were able to really give ourselves a taste of kind of what a little bit of playoff success would look like. But when you look back on the entire year, I mean, there's so much to be thankful for at some point, and then also be proud of.
Did this team kind of just lose energy as the season went on? A lot of guys hadn't been through a season, the guys who came from here hadn't been through a season like this.
Yeah, I don't know if we lost energy, but there's definitely times, I mean, I've said it before, and I'll continue to repeat myself when I say this, but there are times to get hot in MLS, and you find that a lot of teams that kind of catch fire towards the end of the summer tend to make good playoff runs. So I think we obviously didn't get hot at the end of the summer. We were able to put together a couple of decent results, but never really kind of climbed that ladder. So I think when you see the experienced teams of MLS, the Seattles, even Kansas City, who has a lot of guys that have been in the league for a long time, they know when to get hot.
Ben?
I know it's not simple when you talk about soccer strategy, but when you hear a lot about possession and you guys were more unsuccessful when you had the ball more, I guess can you just talk about what happened or what happens with that and what can be made, how can you improve on that?
Yeah, I think we can solve that problem pretty quickly. It's just when teams are able to give us the ball, I think we become a little bit more tentative. So then we lose our aggressive side in terms of wanting to win those second balls, wanting to force the ball up the field in kind of a vertical way that we want to. And when that happens, we don't create as much chances, and then we get very spread out when we're on the ball, and then when we lose it, we obviously concede some opportunities. So I think for us, it's important for us to understand that we want to be able to be good on the ball in moments, but we don't want to be a heavy possession team.
We'll go to Justin, then Matt.
Tim, I wanted to ask you a little bit about what you've learned about leadership this year in your role as like the MLS veteran in this team. What do you hope that some of the younger players have kind of learned from you over the course of the season?
Yeah, I hope there was a lot of guys that didn't really understand how the league works. So I'm glad that they got a little bit of a taste of it, and you're able to see a lot of guys that maybe throughout the year grew a lot. A lot of guys in the beginning of the year that didn't get minutes, that towards the end of the year we were relying on for starting minutes or big time roles. So I'm happy with a lot of the growth that we are able to see with a lot of the young guys, and I hope I played a part in that. I think there is some babysitting, I'd like to call it, with some of those young guys, but no, I think you have to be patient with them, because the younger guys, they always want to play, they always want to get better and learn while playing rather than learn while watching. So I'm glad that a lot of them got to experience some good games this year and some good opportunities, and we can build on that.
Matt.
Tim, Bradley mentioned earlier about your growth as being kind of an inspiration at this stage in your career, coming here and being able to kind of resurgence your career, so to speak, Defender of the Year nominee. How do you look to maintain and improve upon this level that you've attained with City so far this year?
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely thankful first for the opportunity to come here and to kind of feel that resurgence. I think I've been kind of the one that's been echoing that first. I'm glad Brad jumped on it as well, but yeah, I mean, it's gonna be hard for me to replicate exactly what this year was, but I definitely think that being in this system, I think, brings out the best attributes of what I can provide as a player, and I'm hoping that obviously next year there's going to be growth within myself, but also within the team, so that we're able to succeed together.
We'll go to the back to Corey Miller. Pass you back, please.
Hey Tim, winning obviously goes a long way to this, but just as a player, what does it feel like to have this city jump on board with you guys so passionately and so quickly and just sustain it through the whole year?
Yeah, it's been incredible. It's like something I haven't been across before in my career. Even yesterday, I went to the grocery store and someone kind of just congratulated me on the year and thanked me for it. it's hard to take that right now, but at the same time, you know, you're thankful for all the support that everyone's been able to give us. And, you know, I think when you look at all the home games that we had, every game a sellout, you know, it makes it an exciting place to play, not only for us, but for other teams too. And I think it's going to be an intimidating environment again next year, and we're looking forward to kind of improving that home record.
Go to tomorrow.
I know there's still a certain level of sting from how the season ended, but as the leader on the pitch, off the pitch, what is the message in the locker room? And then now, a couple of days removed, of how do you mentally move yourself forward to continue to push? Because it's gonna look different next year, but still, this is a group of guys who want to stay resilient, especially when they're in this league for the first time and they're still young and growing.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely there's going to be changes, that's for sure. I think you know, you're not going to see all 25 guys the same way next year. So, but you have to be able to kind of encourage guys to have good off seasons. You know, to actually take that time to go and relax for a little bit, because next year the season's even longer. You know, we come back earlier in January for Champions League, and guys don't really. I think this is a little bit of a taste of it for the guys that didn't really play in MLS before, for them to see how long the year can be. So my advice is, you know, really actually take some time off to kind of recoup, and then when we come back in January, now at least we have ground to stand on. You know, we actually know each other right now. So it's a better step than where we were last year in terms of personalities in the locker room and getting to know one another. So I think that's already a good step in the right direction. And then as a team, building upon the framework that we had this year. You know, I think we know what makes us successful and what doesn't, and I think those are things that we're going to have to focus on.
We'll wrap up with Brendan.
Tim, you talk about some of the inexperienced guys. As somebody like yourself that has experience, has been around, do you feel like it was maybe a challenge for some of those younger, inexperienced guys in some of the walk-up and preparation to the 2 playoff games?
I don't think necessarily just to those games. I do think that those games require a different kind of, I don't want to say attitude or bite to them, but I mean, there's definitely, when it comes into playoffs, you know, there's definitely a lot more on the line for every team. You know, I mean, I watched that Nashville-Orlando game last night, and I was like, that game really looked like a playoff game to me. And I think that we had a lot of that versus Kansas City, but at the same time, I think we can be even feistier and a little bit more annoying in a way. You know, I think that's what we thrived off in the beginning of the year, was almost being that annoying team to play against. And if that got away from us a little bit towards the end, it's possible, but I think that we have to kind of take pride in being that pesky, annoying team.
Tim, thank you for joining.